I had an offer from the Hawks to be third point guard. At this time, they had just drafted Dennis Schroeder. They told me he was our number 2 point guard. He's playing. Jeff Teague was making like, I don't know, 50, 60 million. And they was like, he's playing. We're going to be honest with you. There's no minutes for you. Maybe you might play 5 to 10 minutes a game, but most likely you ain't going to play a lot because we got to develop this young guy. And we ain't going to let no one get in his way. And Jeff Teague is the guy right now. But if anybody gets hurt, if one of them get hurt, you walking into 15 minutes a game for sure. At that point, it was like, do I want to play for the Hawks? Not get a lot of playing time, make net 160,000, whatever. Go to China, get over M, or go to Europe. And I think at that time, like 3-4 years, I think my highest offer in Europe was like 600,000.
Welcome back to the Role Player Podcast. We back again with another guest, and of course, my man, my new favorite host, Anthony Goods, co-founder of Swish Cultures, Stanford alum, 11-year vet, overseas vet. Ant, what's good with you, man?
Man, just chilling, man. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to be out here podcasting.
Yeah, as every day is, man. We got a very esteemed guest with us today, man. One of my favorite players overseas for sure. A Eurocup MVP in 2016, 2-time Eurocup first team, Eurocup champ, 2-time CBA scoring champ, an NAIA All-American, and a 4-time TBT champ, the one and only Errick McCollum, man. What's up, man? Appreciate you joining us.
Man, I appreciate the introduction. Appreciate you having me, man. Happy to be here. I always enjoy playing against you as well.
I'm sure you did because I got them stiff hips, so I was probably easy to get a bucket on by the time you see me.
Oh no, man! You was good in the pick and roll. You was making things happen. You was tough, bro. Still is. Keep going, brother.
No doubt, man. But we're gonna jump right into it, man. So, like I said, you got a long list full of accolades. Probably one of the few guys, maybe the only guy, with that list of accolades coming from an NAIA school like that. So we're gonna start with just coming from, how you said Goshen or Goshen? How you pronounce it?
Yes, Goshen.
Goshen. So coming from Goshen, what was your mentality coming out of NAIA? Was you thinking like, I need to work my way up in Europe to get to the league? Were you thinking like, were you trying to get to a training camp? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought I was about to have to work a job. Like, I was like, I took academics seriously. I had good grades. I was doing an internship at the time, and they had offered me a job in the human resource department. I was working under the president at like a nursing home, and so I was in charge of like tallying payrolls, handling their medical leave, insurance. Like basically, I was in all the business. Knowing how much money everybody makes and stuff. It was a fun job. Like it was cool, but going to a small school, not knowing the process, the steps. I didn't know what was next or, how to even begin to get overseas. And, not many people go to the NBA, even though I produce good stats. Like, I'm pretty realistic. And, and until my phone started ringing, agents started contacting my coach, like maybe 10 to 12 days after the season, my mindset was, dang, what's next? And once I finally got those calls, I finally realized, okay, I might have a chance, to play overseas.
Damn, that's wild. That's wild. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's a crazy story for real. Like I said, you ain't gonna hear that from a lot of people. But that being said, when you get overseas, you started in Israel, right? You started in NAIA, which is probably, for those that don't know, we all Israeli vets now, Israeli league vets.
Smallest gym ever. That was like a middle school gym.
My elementary gym is bigger than this.
So you go and play in NAIA. Like, what's you play there? Are you thinking like at that point, all right, now I can work my way up, or was it still just a year at a time? You think maybe I got to go back and work a job? Like, what was the priority for you at that point? Was it just make as much money as I can? Was it let's play a year and see what happened? Or
yeah, early on in the career, I wasn't really sure the European landscape. I wasn't familiar with teams, countries. EuroLeague, Eurocup, like I didn't understand any of that or know that. I just knew I had a job. I was getting paid to play basketball, which was better than working. And I knew I could make a living. As I started to talk to my vets and they started to explain the European landscape, money teams had, certain leagues, the prestige, I started to realize, okay, maybe there's a chance. You know what I'm saying? I can really make this a living. And how I looked at it was, um, I just got to get my bread up. I'm like, all right, if I can just get to 100,000 a year, if I could play like 12 years, right? And by that time, I could probably save, 80% of that salary. I'm low maintenance at the time, not married, no kids, nothing, just to myself. And if you make 100,000 a year, I'm thinking you could be able to save about 70 of that, 80 of that, and I just wanted to basically stack up as much as I could and, be retired, whatever, 10, 12 years, maybe have 500,000, 600,000, invested, saved, and creating passive income, and then take the next step of work. And, at this time, like, I think maybe I was making like $35,000 for the year. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to like work my way up. But I was blessed to even have a job because everybody who was a foreigner in the Israeli league, they were all Division I players. Like it was guys I seen, on ESPN, Sports Center. I mean, Big Ten, ACC, SEC, and I'm just like, it's surreal because, you always believe in yourself, you're confident, but you don't know how you measure up. Like I dominated people at the NAIA level, but I'm like, all right, maybe it's different. Like these is guys who, was getting more pub, who was getting more interest. How do I stack up? And it took me, a little bit of time just to like adjust and realize like I deserve to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I deserve to be here. We on the same place. Now let's see what happens. And once I got to that stage, I started to play. And I showed a lot. But, the politics of the game, when you're the lowest paid foreigner on the team, when you're in Israel, there's the Israeli rule where 2 Israelis have to be on the court at all times. We had 6 foreigners. That means 3 of us was on the bench at certain points of the game, man. I'm the lowest paid. And so oftentimes I got the short end of the stick. Did I deserve to play more? Of course. You know what I'm saying? You don't just become a high level player overnight. You don't go from a guy who is not good enough to play in Israel to become a guy who can take a 7-figure contract overseas. But, I had to play the game. And that's what I always preach to my young guys. Like, you got to pay your dues. You got to do your stuff on the court. Sometimes it's political, but eventually, you can't hold talent down. If you got good talent, good character, good work ethic, you'll eventually get your chance. And, unfortunately, it took, 2 years for me to really start to develop my name and my game in the European landscape. But after about 2 or 3 years, I kind of made my foot strong in the lead and kind of started to get some respect.
Yo, that's it's wild, man. You just brought me back to I remember, I think it was my first or second year out on my D-League team. We had a guy from he played at NAIA. He was like one of the leading scorers and stuff, and he was nice, man. Like he was just a shot maker. And I think he went overseas, and he was the type of guy I was like, bro, if he gets overseas, he's going to be able to make a lot of money. And I think he went overseas for like a year or two, and then I think he hung it up. But, and I think, it's probably, the low pay and just being over there for 10 months, it just started to wear on guys. But, I think it's definitely one of those things, like regardless of what level you come from, if you can muscle through, the bad years, the tough years, the bad apartments and the low pay, the late pay and all that other stuff. If you can muscle through that, man, you could make a nice living, man, if you got the talent. And I'm sure a lot of other D3 guys, they deal with, okay, I'm coming from a D3 and all that other stuff. But I mean, basketball is basketball. If you can make shots, like, and once we get overseas, it's like starting over. It's like if he was that good, he'd be back home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
Man, I don't know about y'all, but I've always had this thought process or theory where I feel like smaller school guys do better overseas. Like I don't know if it's because they come over there and they're hungrier or they're not as accustomed to, like, because even at Wisconsin, it's like, all right, we flying charter every night, and we flying charter from Madison to Minneapolis. So when I got to Rome and we taking 8-hour bus rides, I was tight. Like I was like, yo, what? Like what the fuck is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Where's the Jimmy John's at? Where the food at? You know what I'm saying? So I always had this theory that like smaller schools like yourself, Mike James, obviously y'all are talented as hell, but I don't know if it's a mentality that comes along with that, where it's just, you're just down. I don't want to say down for whatever, but you're just more open to the experience or what have you. But I don't know what y'all think about that, but that's always been my thought process.
I think it's both. I think the same thing. Smaller school guys, they're lower maintenance. They're used to getting less. They have more to prove. And they're more likely to take a smaller contract. You know, a guy coming from the Big Ten with good accolades or the ACC or SEC and who's on that fringe of NBA and overseas, you know, they're going to frown out a small amount of money. Whereas if you're coming from a small school, you're really just trying to get your foot in the door, you know, and guys like me, Mike James, we started off low, making low money. You could even take it back, David Logan, you know, guys who coming from smaller schools who could hoop. Also, Darius Adams, you know, a D2 guy as well. I think it's just a different mindset. Like, we didn't really fly to games ever. Like, when I was in NAIA school, we had like a tournament every year, a Christmas tournament in Florida. And that was the only time we flew. Everything else was all bus rides. You know, we were used to small gyms. I'm used to not, like, we had a Nike sponsor, but we got 2 pair of shoes and they had to last all year. Like this is like where you come from. This is what you're used to. Like, and you have to adjust, you have to adapt. Like, we're not getting $100 handshakes, you know. there's no booster coming in, you know, looking out after us like that. Like, it's just not the same. And I think, you know, when you go to a small club overseas or when you go to a small budget team, you know, you're just happy for the experience and to continue your career. And then I think the fact that if you usually went to like a small school, you usually had to prove yourself over and over again, where a lot of time the big school guys, not that it was given to them, but they haven't yet faced adversity sometimes because they've been highly regarded. They've been McDonald's All-American, or they've been, you know, you got 10, 15 offers and you get to decide where you want to go. But we just hoping to get one. Like, we just praying somebody see us.
Man, that's crazy. So, I mean, so you said after a couple of years, you had kind of worked your way, made a name for yourself in Europe. At what point did it click for you where it's like, all right, yeah, like I'm him, I'm that dude, I belong here? Like, was it a certain moment? Was it a time in the summertime when you was working on your game? Like, what made you have that realization?
Well, I would always go play in like pro-ams and throughout the year and like in Ohio and stuff. And there'd be a lot of pro players and stuff. And, you know, this basically my brother being in the lead and, you know, going to play runs, doing stuff with him. And so it was easy for me to see that I was at that level, right? So, like, you know, when you go play once with the team, you know, some of the guys from the Blazer, or you go play ones on an NBA workout with guys, and not only you're holding your own, you winning, you know. So I was like, all right, like, you know, I knew I wasn't tripping. I knew I'm nice, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that was my mentality. And so I just, like, some people are good in workouts, some people are good in one-on-one, but I'm a guy that can play in the system, can play in open gym setting, can play in the street ball setting, and it's tough. Like, a lot of guys can't do that. I could look good in the workout or good if you just free fall, do your own thing. And when I really started to feel like, all right, they're not gonna be able to hold me back much longer, I'm going to get an opportunity, is when I went to Greece my 3rd year. And I had never played against EuroLeague teams outside of like Maccabi my first year when I didn't play much, Maccabi Tel Aviv. But now, like, I was the point guard, I was starting, I was getting like 25 minutes a game. You know, we playing Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, and, you know, I'm giving them the business. I mean, I'm 25 and 5, 30, whatever. Like, and I'm like, at the time, like, my salary's small. And that's when I realized, like, I had to shift my goals. Like, every year my goals change. And like I say, I wanted like 100,000 a year. I started to see what guys was making, and I'm out here torching them. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm underestimating myself. I'm undervaluing me. And so, like, you know, I don't ever get in a man's pocket, but the way that you get paid is there's a market. And so once that market is set, based on how you win, how you play, your statistics, how you perform, and then the other stuff, how you are as a person, what you do off the court, there's like a market set for what a good guard gets, you know, what a good shooting guard get, what a good center get. And so you use that to gauge, you know, potentially where you could be. Not that I'm gonna get this because he got this, but just to see, like, there's a ballpark figure where you might be in there minus 100 or 200,000, whatever. And so then I was like, all right, maybe I need to start aiming for $500,000. Like, and so I always just like push myself. And that's when I started to see, like, halfway through the year, like Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, they always trying to buy me out. And, you know, all these EuroLeague teams started to come, and I'm 3 years out, and I was just on the bench 2 years ago. And I'm like, dang. And they're talking about, you know, giving me 20 times what I was making in my first year, 30 times what I was making. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. And my agent's like, yo, just wait. You got some NBA interest, and there's a team in China that wants you. And I was like, China? And I'm like, For real? He like, yeah. And like China, like, I mean, because of China, I was able to get my first meal ticket because of them. Because a lot of teams in Europe, they won't pay you um, exactly what you're worth because they know you make a small amount of money, right? So if you a guy and you making, let's say, $60,000, $70,000, and you have a phenomenal year and you win a championship, they're not going to pay you $1 million. They don't have to. You make 60, 70, you'll be happy with 250. You'll be happy, even though your numbers, your career, everything says that. But a guy who's established the market and that same statistics, you could take two guys and one guy's making 70 and this guy's making 500, and they have the same exact year. That guy making 500 might get to 800. That guy making 70 might get to 300. And it's just how it goes. But once you have known suitors and guys who will pay or teams that will pay you a certain amount, once China came to the equation, offers started to go up. But I turned them down because, at that time I had made so little money, and it's hard to turn down double the salary. And so all the European coaches were telling me, don't go to China, you'll forget how to play basketball. Europe will forget you. I'm like, Europe can forget me all they want. China giving me over $1 million. Forget me. I don't care. Like, and I was like, and so when me and my agent, we talked, man, he's like, it's not like Eric's gonna forget how to play basketball. If you still wanted $1 million, you're gonna want him now. So we had the idea to retain both markets. And at this time, China was only a 4 to 5 month season. And so what a lot of guys made a mistake of is they rely too heavily on one market. And I don't like that. Just coming from where I was, not having many offers, not knowing if I was going to work, if I was going to play basketball, I always like to have multiple options. That's why I went and got my degree. It's why I prepare for life after basketball now. This is why I always have a strategy on what to do next. And so I would play China, get my bag, play 5 months. I go home for like 12 days, 10 days rest, and then I go straight to Europe. And it was just to remind them, like, what you see in China, it translates. It comes to Europe too. And I did that. Like every year I played in China, I did that. And because of that, I was able to keep both markets, where sometimes if you're in China too long, Europe won't respect you and they won't pay you. And so that's why I always did both. But when I did that, and I started to play well in China, and I think I had a scoring title that year. That's the year I dropped 82. That's when like my name in Europe and overseas was, it was no longer an NAIA guy. It was no longer, maybe he can play at this level. It was like, oh, we got to pay him, and he's elite.
You see how he slid that in there, that slight flex when I dropped 82, like it was nothing. Like, that one time when I dropped 82, man, 82 points is a lot of points. You playing at the wire, you playing with sixth graders, man. That's a lot of buckets. That is a lot of buckets, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do it again.
I don't know if a lot of guys get 82 in a workout. You know what I'm saying?
Man, for an hour.
You gotta be in great shape. You got to get the ball a lot, high usage rate, a lot of screens, and you gotta be hot. But my teammates, they played for me. Like I'm a guy who scores in bunches. So once I got going, I had a group of unselfish guys, and they really just wanted
Nah. I don't mean to cut you off. Fuck all that. Fuck them teammates. Fuck them teammates, man. Man, fuck them teammates, man. Say, give me the ball and move. What was it? What'd you shoot from the floor at that game? You remember?
Let me see. I want to say for sure I was like high percentage because I pride myself on percentage. But I just remember my free throws. I know I was like 23 for 25 from the free throw line. And then I can't remember from the field, but I know I was like 60% or so, somewhere around there.
Listen. To your point, ain't a lot of dudes shooting 60% in the workout for 82. You know what I'm saying?
At all.
I'll get you a cool 50 on 45% though. After be cool with that. But nah, man. So you talk a lot about like having multiple options, and one of the things that I think we all as basketball players, all as people, is when you get the NBA option, you get the China option, you got the Europe option. And money is obviously the big factor, but how do you weigh, I want to go to the league because, where we from, being in the league that's the deal. And now I would even say EuroLeague is a big deal. Like that's a prideful thing. So how do you balance like that, for lack of a better term, that mercenary title versus, creating your legacy? Because I think when you build a legacy, you get the money anyway, most times, right? But How do you balance those decisions? Were those tough decisions to make?
Yeah, so like I think it depends on your age and where you are at your life, right? So when I first started out, I was just trying to um, solidify myself, um, find a niche, create some type of longevity, right? And at that point, for me, overseas was the best option. I didn't want to play in the at the time it was the D League, now it's the G League. Salaries were extremely small. So a guy coming out with my scale, there was three scales at the time. So you're thinking this is 2010. I graduated college. Um, it was A, B, C scale. So if you had NBA experience, A scale was like 2,400 a month
Yep.
or like a 7-month season. B scale was about 1,800 a month, and C scale was 1,200 a month. And so like me coming from NAIA, what scale you think they're gonna put me on? The C scale, probably 1,200 a month. And I was like, all right, I ain't doing that. Um, I know guys went to Europe, it improved themselves. And I hear you can make a good living. I didn't know I could become rich or, you know, at this time I wasn't even like into like passive income, real estate, like all these other stuff. Like I was just 100% basketball. Like I didn't know nothing else. And, as you kind of get in different circles, as you kind of create, more income for yourself and you meet people, you start to run into people that teach you certain things. So at this stage, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go overseas. I'm gonna make a little bit of money, have a great safety net, put myself in a position where, I have a lot of things paid off. I have, big retirement, and then I go into a job. And as I started playing, the next stage, I was thinking, all right, after about 3-4 years, now I'm on that radar, like you said, China, NBA, Europe. And for me, it was all about I would do the NBA if the role was there. For me, I didn't care about the money as much because I always bet on myself and believed in myself. So um, if there's a role and I can find a way to get minutes, I believe I'll play myself into more money. I always believe that. So for younger players out there, I believe you should always chase the role. Whether that's Europe, whether that's G League, whether that's NBA, you can't make more money or solidify any longevity in your career if you're on a bench. But if you're playing, even if it's for less money, you can show your worth. You can always increase your value. I've never seen a player increase their value from sitting on the pine. And so, like, I did have some offers. I had an offer from the Hawks to be third point guard. At this time, they had just drafted Dennis Schroeder. They told me he was our number 2 point guard. He's playing. Jeff Teague was making like, I don't know, 50, 60 million. And they was like, he's playing. We're going to be honest with you. There's no minutes for you. Maybe you might play 5 to 10 minutes a game, but most likely you ain't going to play a lot because we got to develop this young guy. And we ain't going to let no one get in his way. And Jeff Teague is the guy right now. But if anybody gets hurt, if one of them get hurt, you walking in at 15 minutes a game for sure. And I'm like, at that point, the revenue was much smaller in the NBA. So a minimum contract now is like $870,000, give or take, gross. When I was coming out, you gotta remember, so this is 3-4 years as a pro. I'm probably 2013, 2014 season. The minimum contract was like, I want to say 280,000 or something around there. Maybe let's just say 300,000 gross.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand like the net, the gross, whatever. Like NBA, let's put it this way: my brother get taxed when he was playing in Portland 51%, and that's not counting agent fee. So you see 100 million, it's not 100 million. It's 100 million minus 51%, agent fee 4% minus 55%. So just put that into perspective when you're talking about 300,000. Maybe that's closer after agent fees, everything. You're talking about 150. And then you got to get a place to live, and you're in the NBA. You can't live in the hood. You're a target, even though you don't make a ton of money. People are going to think, oh, he's in the NBA. So you got to live in a nice neighborhood. And at that point, it was like, do I want to play for the Hawks? Not get a lot of playing time, make net 160,000, whatever. Go to China, get over M, or go to Europe. And I think at that time, like 3-4 years, I think my highest offer in Europe was like 600,000. And I chose to go to China just because I knew the role was there. I knew it was going to happen. And I double dipped. I went to China, boom, played 4 or 5 months, went over to Europe. And because of that, they would pay me accordingly, and it was a better situation. Like I went from maybe only being able to make 3,500 a month as a rookie to now teams offer me over 100,000 a month. Like, and it's not only about money, but the ball was in my hands. I was playing 25 minutes. And I feel like if you work hard, if you're talented, and you play 25 minutes, you can't help but to succeed. The only thing that can stop you is an injury. And at that point, I knew like I'm at a point where I can have financial stability. My future family will be good. I can help my current family members right now, but I can be happy. I enjoy seeing the world. I enjoy getting outside, seeing something different. I'm from Canton, Ohio, a small city. Being overseas broadened my horizons. It taught me a lot of values, showed me different things. And so like I embraced the whole experience. And once I got to that point, it became, I don't want to go to the NBA. I got to prove myself. I got to do all this stuff. I got to bend over backwards. I got to pray somebody get hurt just to play, where Europe or China is saying, here go the keys. Do what you do. We love you. And that's why I went to Goshen College, NAIA. And I always learned early, my parents taught me, go where you're needed, not where you're wanted. Go where you're needed. That means that the team needs you. It's going to be hard to go without you. It's kind of like a woman. You need her. She makes your life easier. You love her. This is how I look at my wife. I need her. I need her around me. I need her support, need her encouragement. A girl that you just want, she could be here today, going tomorrow. And that's kind of how I looked at the NBA for me. They just wanted me. They didn't need me.
Yeah, today, going tomorrow. I like to see you drop that little Drake lyric in there. I see.
Pound cake.
I see. No, but that make a lot of sense, man. That insight is real. I think we had Malcolm Delaney on the show, and he talked about some of the things he looks at when he's choosing a situation, and role was one of the things he said as well. So it's just interesting to see, especially you two have left your mark on overseas, specifically European basketball, as Americans, just kind of touch on the same things, and that's great advice for the youngins coming into the scene to pay attention to, which is what we're trying to highlight a little bit. So
a lot of guys are in the NBA living the dream and depressed because they're not playing, and that's when I knew. My parents sat me down, and my mom was like, "Would you be happy playing 0 minutes some games, watching somebody that you might be better than in practice that you're killing? Would you be happy not playing?" And I looked at it. I was like, "Man, you right. I wouldn't be." And she know me. Like my dad was like, "You ain't gonna want to sit the bench for nobody." And I was like, "You right. You right." It better be Kyrie Irving in front of me, boy. It got to be somebody clearly better.
You sit in the bench for CJ? You sit in the bench for CJ?
Yeah. Somebody who a little bit nicer than you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm nice, but I'm realistic. Like my brother a little bit better than me. Like he basically me, but 2 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier. So like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'll sit the bench, but he can't play 40, you know what I'm saying? Play that boy about 33 minutes. Let me get them other 15 to 16. Like, and it's different. Like if somebody better than you, I had no problem, coming off the bench or sitting the bench. But if I'm better than you and you playing the guy only because he got drafted or only because there's a favor or only because of some political thing, like, and that's what the NBA is, honestly. It's a lot of politics going in there. And you got to deal with that part of basketball.
Yeah. I mean, the European side probably has that as well. Like, for instance, Mario Hezonja just talked about how, he didn't feel like he got treated with the respect that he deserves in the NBA, and he's never going back, and the NBA is only for entertainment. So I guess, is that a valid critique, y'all think?
I think not. I think everything you go to when you're new, you got to earn it. They didn't give me anything in Europe. I could have said the same thing about Europe. They didn't give me any respect. Barely got any contracts when I first came out. Barely got any minutes. Always got the low end of the stick. But I understood where I was coming from. I understood I was starting fresh. I wasn't afraid to get it out the mud. My whole life was getting out the mud. But I'd never been a lottery pick. I'd never been, a guy who was getting Division I offers. I'd never been a guy who was always coveted. So like when you're in that position, when you're always coveted, when everybody bends over backwards for you, when you're the star kid or the guy who gets all the attention, you feel like you deserve something. Whereas my mentality was, I don't have to be given anything. I'm gonna come take this shit. And that's how I looked at it. You ain't got to give me nothing.
That's facts. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, man. I mean, I think it's just funny, man. I mean, we've all been on teams where guys are frustrated. It's always like, this ain't basketball. You know what I mean? It's like they always looking for some excuse, whether it's on the state side or the European side. And, and I think that at a certain point, if he was playing and he was playing well, he wouldn't be saying that. None of the other, Europeans are criticizing the NBA like that, or just being like, oh, I'm not coming back next year if they're playing and playing well and getting paid for it. You know, I mean, I think it's just an excuse, man. And you know, it's kind of whack.
You know the wackest thing about it is why, to me, like European basketball, you could be nice in the NBA and whatever, flame out, you know, maybe just get old or what have you, and you come to Europe, and if you can't play in Europe for probably, like you said, political reasons, maybe the role wasn't great, the situation wasn't great, they'll deem you as a bad basketball player. When European guys will go to the NBA and flame out, and it's, oh well, you know, that's not basketball. That's, you know, that ain't basketball. That's just, they just,
and they'll come back to a bigger contract. They'll come back to a bigger contract.
Man, come back home and live like a king. So that is always like, that's always kind of bothered me as a player, to be honest, probably more than it should. But you know, it's just that it's the hypocritical nature of Europeans. So it did rub me the wrong way when Buddy said it's just a show, which, I mean, to a degree, the NBA is entertainment, but I ain't trying to hear that from you. So from Mario, I ain't trying to hear that from Mario or Sonya, but no disrespect to him. But what y'all think is a more difficult game to adjust to? And you could touch on China too, like, because like you said, I don't think people really take into account how hard it is to score 82 points, whether you're playing against you know people, girls, boys, kids, whatever. So what you think the hardest game would be to adjust to from Europe to the NBA to Asian market, what have you?
So, like, you know, just from watching the NBA, you know, talking to my brother, seeing everything, you know, because people be quick to be like, you never played the NBA, you don't know. Like, all right. Most of the analysts, most of the broadcasters, most of the people that they listen to never played college, NBA, whatever the case may be. But the NBA has greater spacing. And if you're a really talented one-on-one scorer, you're going to have a field day just because there's no help there. This court spaced out more. Bigs can't sit in the paint. It's not cloud. This is what Luka is saying. He's not saying that NBA has the best players in the world. Don't get me wrong. The most talented, the tallest, the most athletic, everything, the best defenders, best scorers, all that. But the rules are created to produce a lot of scoring. And by that, I mean, like, the offense always has the advantage. Whereas in Europe, the defense always has the advantage. They can hand check, they can push. You can sit a 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guy just sit in the paint all game. The court is smaller. The refs, some of the calls sometimes lack consistency. So a lot of American players are unsure how to guard, how to defend, when to be physical, when not. Somebody might come out there and be going real physical on you. You kind of return that favor, you know, it's a foul on you. So, like, it's a lot different in those terms of style. You know, China is tough because the pressure. What people don't understand is, like, you're fighting for your job every day, especially now. They do a lot of non-guaranteed contracts. You're seeing guys sign these big contracts, but it's not like that. Like, you know, it's 1 or 2 months of that. Probably it's supposed to be 2 months non-guaranteed. At any point they can cut you. So, like, somebody might sign a contract, but they're only guaranteed up to a certain amount. And what China would do is, the moment somebody becomes available that's perceived as better, has a bigger name, sells more tickets, you know, they will cut you, and you have to be on your game. You're going to get doubled, you're going to get tripled, boxed, and won everything. And if you don't produce statistically, they will get rid of you. So, but for me, the hardest part was starting out in Europe. I think that's the hardest part because, you know, you're trying to find a way to move up levels, right? And how can you do that? How can you stand out? You know, you got to continue to play at a high level. You got to perform, and, you know, any bad game against a big team is perceived as, he can't play at this level. You could be having a great season all year, balling out on a small team, and then the one time you play a EuroLeague team, well, that's your measuring stick. And it's like, oh, it's kind of like the NCAA tournament. You know, that pressure college kids play. You could be a mid-major guy, destroying your little low major conference player of the year, and you go play bad against Kansas or Duke. They like, oh, he's not an NBA player after one game. And that's kind of like that. To me, that's the hardest transition. Like, maintaining is easier. Like, once you at a high level, if Errick McCollum have a bad game, they're going to say, oh, it's okay. We know what he does. You know, he just had an off night. But me, when I was 22, 23, he's an NAIA guy. This level's beyond him. Like, and that's the difference. That's the pressure, the feel like now you make money, you're secure financially, your family's good. Like, I feel no pressure. I go out there and just have fun. I be laughing, like, everything is cool, you know. But when you out here and you need this to survive. Like it's different. Like you need this to get through the next. Like your career could be over. Go right. Like, it's way different. So early on in your career in Europe, it's a dogfight. It's a dogfight. Once you up here, like EuroLeague, Eurocup, China, once you there, it's light. It's easy because you establish yourself. Like, okay, to play, yeah, maybe you're gonna be tougher competition, but your teammates are so good. Like they can't really double you like they want. You got spacing. They don't expect you no more to score 20, 25, 30 points. Now they cool with you just getting 10 to 12. Like it's just the easier life.
Yeah. Yeah. They go act like, especially early on, they go act like they didn't see you getting 30 a night, and as soon as you have 4, they go act like they forgot about them other games. Them
Man,
joints never
immediately.
happened, man. Them joints just never happened, man. That shit
Boy,
is
they won't
crazy.
even talk to you. You be young and you come into your team, man. People working for the staff, they look at you like, let you drop 20 in a rivalry game. They gonna be like, Jordan, my friend. Boy, score 4 points in a rivalry game, and they can't stand you.
They're ready to cut your ass. Man,
They talking about you. You don't know what they saying. You don't know
Man.
what they saying, but you can feel it. You can feel when
Hey.
somebody talking about you.
Hey, I had a coach my rookie year in Italy, man. We ended up going to the finals. And probably heard this like twice now, but it's like we had a coach, man. He used to get so mad at me because he said I wasn't doing enough, like wasn't attacking enough. He used to go on the sidelines, sit right next to the GM, and fold his arms. I said, "Va fanculo." I'm like calling me a motherfucker in Italian, like, nah, bitch, I don't figure that out now. Like, you better chill out over there. Like, calm down. Calm down, man. But nah, that shit is crazy. But yo, we gonna touch too. We want to hear about, man. We checked you out on EuroBasket, and we saw your EuroLeague Final Four predictions, which was, I liked them. I thought they was interesting. So we just wanted to hear, you have Barcelona to win it, right? Tell us
Yeah.
why you think Mike James is kind of that ultimate X factor for Monaco, and why you think he could take them to the Final Four.
Yeah, so I think Barcelona is just too elite. They can beat you in a half court. They can play the transition game. They can go inside with Mirotic and Davies, who I think is probably the best 4 and 5 in Europe, in the EuroLeague. They have a great pick and roll player in Calathis. They have 2 different type of guards, Laprivoli and Calathis. They can kind of switch it up. Good athletic defensive wing. I just like that they can switch screens. And they can play different styles that suit this in the deep. And when you're playing in the Final Four, with the game's short period of time, the grind from the season, you need a deep roster. As far as Monaco, anytime you have the best player in a series, you always have a chance. Mike is electric. He's fast. He's quick. He can shoot it. He can play isolation. He can play pick and roll. I mean, you have to double team him. One guy is not going to stop him. And the problem is Olympiacos, their guards aren't defensive minded. They have one guy who is Thomas Walkup. But like I said, it takes a team. And he has good help in Monty Eunice, who's extraordinary big on the post, footwork, left, right hand, has all that. And then Dwayne Bacon is a really good player. His first year in Europe. I mean, he's elite, bro. Like, but that size, I mean, he's like 6'6", 230. Excellent ISO situation, post shoot, mid post, fadeaways. I mean, the level of difficulty of shots. I mean, he's a guy that Monaco gonna have to pay him next year, or he's gonna go to a big club. But when you have those 3 together, he NBA player. Like I don't even know why he's overseas. Like size, scoring, skill, he shouldn't be here. Like just let's get that going first. But like so, but like when you put those 3 together, I'm constantly asking myself, they have the 2 best players in the series, Mike James and Dwayne Bacon. Those are the 2 best players in the series. You can make an argument. Tyler Dorsey is a good player. Lucas is a good player. Vizenko is a good player, but they're not at the level of Mike James and Dwayne Bacon. And then you give Olympiacos maybe those guys, and then Monty Eunice is really good as well. So I just think that the way Mike is playing, those guys are believing. They defend. They have a good coach. They're tough. They're feisty, and they have no pressure. They're going. Olympiacos has crazy pressure. You've been having a great season. You're 13-1 at home. Any game you lose, it's the end of the world. The Greek media is heavy in Europe, and it weighs in on a lot of those Greek players. It stresses them out. For foreigners, we don't really know what's going on because we don't read the media. We don't live we live there, but like we're in a bubble. Like if I play bad in Russia, I don't know what they're saying about me. They could be dogging me. I don't know. And I just go live my day. But when you actually live there and you're reading that, like it bothers some people, and that's why I think like Mike James can get it done just because he's an elite level player. And I don't know how Olympiacos is going to contain him.
I think Sasha Vezenkov, though, I think he's kind of like an X factor for me on Olympiacos, man. I think he does.
He's tough.
Yeah, he does. He does so much for them, and I think he's gonna have to have a big series. But I think Olympiacos, I mean, they've shown it. Obviously, being 13-1 at home. I mean, they're so tough to beat at home. Like even when they get down, you know that run is coming. You know what I'm saying? They just a couple shots away, and I think it's gonna be a really good series, man. I do think Olympiacos is gonna come away with it though. I think I think it's gonna be tight. I think it'll probably go to the last game, but I think I think the home court advantage is gonna push them over.
And that's an interesting matchup. Will Thomas, last year he put the cuffs on Mirotic when Zenit Barcelona in that quarterfinal. He made life tough for him, and I think maybe he's older, but I think maybe he can make life tough for Vezinko as well. But Vezinko's a great player. I mean, he shoots the lights out. Post, he play fast, he rebounds, and they rewarded him. They gave him a nice contract extension. They were smart.
Man, the only one I didn't agree with was the Madrid. I think Maccabi gonna clip Madrid.
You think so?
I'm not sold. Here's the thing. I'm not sold on Madrid at the guard spot. I think they don't have a lot of guys who are. I don't mean to disrespect you. I just don't think they have a lot of guys who can make who are even maybe allowed to make those plays. But they're just a little limited to me in terms of getting in the paint and doing things like that. Whereas like Scotty might hurt them. I think Scotty gonna give them hell. But we're going to see.
Madrid, they lack a pure scorer. They need a guy on the perimeter who just gets buckets. That's the thing they're missing. In the past, they had J.C. Carroll coming off those screens. He was a bucket, in a different way, not off the dribble, but on pin downs, floaters.
Right.
I think they're missing that creativity. But I like Nigel Goss. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he has the freedom to play like he normally does. But with Hertel gone, maybe he will be able to play with that freedom that he played when he was at a Lokomotiv Kuban last year. Like you could tell he has the tools, but once you get to certain teams and you play at that level, sometimes coaches want to take a part of your game because they only need this. They only need this from you or this role. And that's the hardest part, I think, about going to a high level as a young player. They don't allow you to be you.
Right. And I think for me too, late game, I don't know if the Sergio Llull's heroics are gonna get them 3 wins in 3 close games. Him doing all
hero ball.
That big man.
Yeah, hero ball.
But that big man on the inside, Tavares, he really messes up your whole defensive plan. Like, but it's hard when you come off the screen and you try to shoot that pull up, you can't see the basket with that big boy in the way. Like, I swear when we played against Madrid, I come up and I try to shoot my mid-range pull up, I could not see the hoop. Like, you can only see the hoop if you're shooting a deep 3, and luckily Scotty can shoot those deep 3s.
I was just gonna say Scotty got that range to pull him way out there. So it's gonna be that one. Honestly, I think is the most interesting series because I agree with you. I think Monaco might get Olympiacos unless they find a way to really slow them 2 dudes down. But I don't see them slowing Errick.
Scotty gonna have to average 18 to 20 for the series for them to win. He gonna have to get 20. If he don't get 20, it's gonna be hard for him.
Yeah,
he do. You ain't lying.
I mean, he capable. He capable. He more than capable. We didn't seen it.
multiple times. But we got paycheck, rain check.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Paycheck, rain check. Somebody's paycheck might be taking a rain check, or is definitely taking a rain check this upcoming month. And for this segment this week, we got Diamantidis, man, the GM of Panathinaikos, just got let go. Him and the coach. And I just think it's just crazy, man. Just like looking at, it seems like that whole situation is imploding, but just looking at that situation, Diamantidis, obviously a legend, in Europe, in Greece, and, they just give him I guess they said it was poor management, poor management of the budget or something. I was reading in one article. But, you know, you got a legend like that, you let him go. And then completely unrelated, I saw on Twitter, Delaney was getting criticized by one of the old, you know, Milan legends. And, you know, he said, he called him like, you know, I'm not worried about what the clown said or something like that. But, you know, and now everybody's jumping on Delaney for disrespecting the legend. And it's just like, yo, like, where do y'all stand? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. We could just fire a legend, you know what I mean? Just because we had a bad season or whatever it is. But on the other hand, like, a legend can criticize a current player and he says something back and it's a problem. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, y'all know how Europe is, man. It's so finicky like that. But I felt like, I don't know, it's just a mess over there in Greeks right now.
Yeah, I think.
Man, what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. You got it. You go ahead.
I think I was really surprised when I said Dimitridis get fired. You never know, like, who's in charge of the decisions. I know at a lot of clubs, there's multiple people who decide what player to take. Like, there's sometimes boards, the GM, the president of operation, whatever. Like, sometimes the owner, everybody gets involved. So you never really know, you know, how much control he had of the roster, you know, how much control of he had of the decisions that were being made. But anytime you see, you know, a great player like that, who's a great basketball mind, it's surprising. And, you know, I didn't know what Panathinaikos expected. They had a lot of inexperience on the roster, a lot of guys who haven't played at the EuroLeague level. They had a smaller budget. They had made a lot of cuts and reductions in the money. I know they had that history. It's a great organization as far as, you know, winning EuroLeagues and all those type of things. Excellent fans, but, you know, you need players and money to win. Like, and, you know, they just didn't have that talent level of a playoff team, and they didn't have the experience. But when you have a history, no matter what happens with the money, every team expects to have the same result. And this is just unrealistic. And then as far as Delaney, I think respect's a two-way street. You know, you can't get mad for calling out a player. And then if he returns the favor, you know, I understand you're a legend, but you're not off limits. You know, you human just like anybody else. And I don't think he was theoretically, because I seen the tweet, he wasn't really talking about that guy specifically. He was talking about anybody who don't got nothing to do with Milan or who don't believe what they going in. Like, right now, they in the playoffs. They focused. Like, they got a common goal. You know, he's not worried about any outside noise or anything. And if you're a fan, you should be glad that you have a point guard like that, because he's not easily fluttered or flustered by negative press, by the media. Like, you don't want a player who's bothered by things that they read about themselves. You want them to be unbothered and go hoop. But at the end of the day, like, you know, fans pick and choose, you know, when, you know, they want to be on someone's side or not. And that's fine. You know, they'll forget all about that when he beats Efes in a series and they take him to the Final Four. You know, they'll forget all about it. And man, maybe he'll be the next Milan legend. Who knows?
What's the most frustrating situation you've been in Europe? I guess something along those lines, like politically or whatever it may be.
Woo, man. See, got several. So, but I think the biggest one, I think, was I was late with payments, right? And, you know, I kept telling them, like, I'm going to practice, you know, as a courtesy for y'all. I'm giving y'all time, you know, to be ready to be pay me. Like, I can technically sit out, you know, but I want to practice and stay in shape and stuff. But if my money not here on game day, we're gonna have a problem. So, like, every time, like in my contract, I can opt out on the 30th day, leave the contract, go to another team, whatever. They would owe me my contract. They would pay me on the 29th day every time. So I just was like, whatever. It just became that, and I accepted it. I was okay. I've also been on teams where there's been nepotism, and, you know, maybe somebody's related to somebody within an organization, and it kind of determines the amount of minutes or, you know, allotment of minutes that a player is supposed to get, and it kind of disrupts the team a little bit of the focus. I've also been on teams where, you know, there's been a guy who's clearly better than a player, dominates him in practice, but he's younger, and he's killing the vet, and doing well in the game, but they continue to play the vet, even though this younger kid is clearly better than him and is above the level and is hurting the team. Like, so it just depends on the situation. Or or sometimes it could be a local, could be a domestic player, and the foreigner is clearly better, but they continue to play the domestic guy the majority of the minutes, continue to start him, and kind of hold back. And then the sickest thing I've ever seen is when you're in a contract year and you about to be free and you start killing too much, and they try to rein you in, pull you back in, and then so that what they do is in the games that they know you can win, there'll be the games where they like low your minutes, and try to kind of, I don't know, lower your value, whatever. And then in the games where they need you, they let you like, bro, I didn't play like 17 minutes, 16 minutes. And then in the big game against a team with implications, you out to 35 minutes. You're like, what is going on? Like, so like, I mean, I didn't see it all. You just got to continue to be professional, maintain. And like the hardest thing is just to continue to do your job, even though you got to put up with these circumstances. But it's not easy. Like you got to be really built different, to deal with all this.
We talking like Doc Rivers, Austin Rivers nepotism, or we talking nepotism where Buddy can't play and he out there on the court. What type of nepotism we talking about?
That's crazy you say that, because that's another story. I was supposed to I was coming from China and my season was finishing before I was gonna go to Europe. I actually a 10-day lined up with the Clippers, and CP had called my brother and everything, and they was looking for a backup guard, and just to, there was an opportunity, get 15 minutes a game, kind of keep CP fresh, and they needed someone with experience who can kind of do some stuff. So like everything was about to go through. I was about to have a 10-day, and then like a day later, Doc, who was coach and president of basketball operations, he traded for Austin Rivers, and he ended up being a good player and stuff. But I was like, dang. So it's funny that you mentioned that. It just reminded me. So that was the 2 times I had a chance to go to the league, and one time I declined it, the other time I kind of got through a curveball.
Yo, if you were younger than CJ, you in the league right now? Same resume, all that. If you was younger, you in the league?
Yeah, because the league has changed. When I came out, they hated tweeners, they hated combo guards. They didn't even like scoring point guards. Like Steve Nash was all the rave. Like all these, Jason Kidd was rave. All these guys who just run the team, even early in Europe. And it's a copycat league. I think once Derrick Rose stepped up and he changed the game, because I seen a shift. Teams overseas went from me wanting to just run a team and just pass and not score to like go get busy, do what you do, and Steph Curry kind of helped with that. And now NBA teams are no longer scared of small schools, guys with thinner frames. You see guys coming in, they're skinnier every year. Tweeners left and right, so many different styles of player. And then with like social media, like it's so big, like I think you have a bigger platform when they see you dominate in certain places. So I think I would be, and now the money's way better. So like even the G League is higher, like everything, like you have more encouragement to stay stateside if you're close to the NBA. Whereas when we came out, you didn't have as much encouragement just because the contracts overseas were so much greater than what the G League could offer, even the 10-day.
Yeah, especially the way they was handing out them 10 days, way they was handing out them 10 days this year, boy.
Man,
my goodness,
man, it was Christmas.
Get one. You was about to try and get one. You about to come out of retirement, start lifting legs again.
Mother Teresa, they handing them out. Get that hamstring together.
I wouldn't have got past day one. I'll tell you that much. The biceps and abs wouldn't have got me past day one.
Man, I didn't even recognize the NBA rosters. Did you? Man. There was some games I don't even know. Like some of those guys on OKC, it was OKC and the Portland Trailblazers at the end of the season. Like I couldn't name 2 players.
I think too. To your point earlier, I think the money overseas now, it ain't the same as it was when we were coming out. Probably even before we were coming out, right? Like before. So that's another factor with the money in the G League going up and the money in Europe kind of going down. So that's going to be interesting to see how that play out. We talk about that a lot. But I know you've seen Gilbert Arenas talk about guys from the 90s couldn't guard the Cats today. You agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, see, I'm a different old head. I'm a different vet. I'm 34, and I give kudos to the young guys. Like, these kids are different. Like, the level of athleticism, their size, their length. They're getting taught skill development and they're working out at like 6-7 years old. Like when we was just hooping, like they've been getting serious training. Like they got pro moves. Like you're seeing these kids, they're 6'10", like even like the boy from Duke, like, he like a guard. He's 6'10" with the wiggle, handle, face up game. Like the skill level is really high. I think in the 90s, I think people had better fundamentals. I think there were better bigs back to the basket. Now bigs are better with versatility, stepping out, shooting the three. All the bigs can dribble. Everybody's athletic. But back to the basket, bigs were better then, and people shot the mid range better then. But other than that, like and fundamentals, other than that, like you're talking about pure talent, pure athleticism, and even pure skill. This is the air. Like it's. I mean, you think Larry Bird gonna guard LeBron James? Even at 37, 38, like come on, bro. Like this is different. Like I mean, there are a few guys who could. Like Michael Jordan translates to any air. Isaiah Thomas translates to any air. Like there's some guys that just they're good in any air. But like I think the quality of players, and that's why the NBA has grown so much in revenue, because back in the day there was maybe one elite player per team, maybe two elite players per team for the major teams, and then the sorry teams had one good player. Like now you're looking, I mean, look at the Timberwolves, for instance. I mean, you got Edwards, that boy is an animal. You got Cat, so versatile. He's tough. He can do it inside out. And then you throw around, you got D'Angelo. Like it's just the star power. You look at the Pelicans. These are teams that barely got in. Look at the Pelicans. They got Bi, CJ, Zion. Like man, even their young rookie class is performing. I mean, it's just I think the balance from star power and then guys who are elite, even on the bottom teams, is just so different compared to the 90s, where like it was like the same 4 or 5 teams every year. And it's not now. Now there's parity.
Yeah, I think though, like, I mean, in basketball in general, you have to adjust. And I think like, yeah, the guys in the 90s, they weren't used to guarding guys like Michael Jordan and Grant Hill on a day-to-day. But I think like now you have guys with a similar type of skill set that you can find at the college level, and just random gems these days. You're going to find guys that can do these things with the ball. So I feel like, yeah, it's easy to say if we're going to take them, straight from the 90s and drop them in today's game, like, yeah, they're going to be bad for a week or 2 weeks, but yeah. I mean, over the course of a month, like, I mean, you see it with rookies, like they come into training camp and like, they don't look so good. And then you look at them like, 3 or 4 months down the line or halfway through the season, and then they get better. So, I think it's a little unfair in the sense that like, okay, body wise, like, obviously they probably didn't have the knowledge of, nutrition and, access to, strength and whatever else these guys are doing. Exactly. Recovery. Yeah. But I think they would have adjusted. They would have adjusted, especially like somebody like a Scottie Pippen with the length and the athleticism, like, he would have adjusted. So I think it's a little unfair to say that. But I mean, what Gil's comment was hilarious. He was talking about the prototype. He said, "Yeah, I know what to do with it."
So that's a good point. If you do that, you got to give the 90s players all the technology, all the advancements, all the training, all the skill, all the science. You got to give them all that too, and I'm sure you'd see a different level of development and analytics, all that stuff.
Analytics, but here's the thing: you could give them all that, and they still not guarding these boys because the dudes now can't guard these dudes. So I don't know how they expect them to guard these two. Like,
especially with the different rules. With the different rules, it'd be even tougher.
Right.
Man, I seen Jordan Poole shoot a setback that almost hurt my knee from the couch yesterday. Like I was like, this man is
tough.
He stepped back to the deep corner for no reason. Could have shot the pull-up and just step back. I was like, bro, what? Like, what? It almost made it too. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense at all. But like one of the things that I've loved about I guess being overseas, just growing up as a basketball player and getting to meet people like y'all, you get to see how differently people see the game. You know what I mean? So like you as a scorer, what do you, when you got your man in front of you, like what's going through your mind, whether if it's a pick and roll, like I guess break down, if you can, like a pick and roll and how you attack that, especially if it's a good defender in front of you. What are you looking for?
Yeah, so for me, and people always, wonder what I see. I don't never pay attention to the guy guarding me. Like, I'm not worried about him. So when I get the ball, I'm looking directly under. First, I look under the basket. And when you see that, you know, if the guy is directly under the basket or like at that block area, I know they about to hedge me, because he's there to take the short roll when the big man hedges. I also look at the big man who's playing the pick and roll defense. If he's touching my big man, I know the hedge is coming. If he's not touching my big man, I know it's a high flat or a drop. So those are the two things I look at. The man guarding me, that's easy. You can always get by him. But if you don't know where the rotations are or the help side, you you won't know what move to make. So after I look at those two, I kind of come off the screen and I know how to come off and how to attack. You know, if you see that big and hedge position, you got to come off quick. You know, fire out. You know, you might be able to draw a foul into his body, or you'll draw that screen out, make him follow you, and you'll give your big more space on a pocket pass. Or you can make that corner pass. You got to be a little bit taller. You got to be a really good passer, but to drag that ball out and just get that joint to the corner, that's an elite pass. That's a EuroLeague pass. But those are the two things to look at. So the big man and the guy on the basket with the help side.
How long did it take you to really master that, get that down? Like, did you feel like you had that as a youngin', or was you?
Oh, no way.
To kind of master that, was it Europe?
When I was young, I was just going 100 miles an hour, just trying to be more athletic, faster than everybody, just going. And then once I really started to watch a lot of film breakdown, once I started to watch good pick and roll users, I started to watch a lot of Steve Nash, just seeing how he breaks it down, how he moves, Jason Kidd. And I'm like, how did they get a good decision every time? And I think once I got about 32, 31, I got to the point where every time I do a pick and roll, someone's open. It might be me on a pull up. It might be the big on the roll, or it's the skip to the corner, to the wing. Like, and that's what I try to tell my young players. I'm like, you don't need 2-3 screens. You should get one screen. And if somebody ain't open, you failed. You failed. Like, you got to be like, you should give the ball to somebody with an advantage. And it took time because I didn't know how to set it up. You know, so then I started setting up the screens, keeping them honest. The guy's overly aggressive, pushing into me, go opposite a couple of times. Boom, blow by. He got to back up. Now I get to play comfortably. Now he can't touch me. I didn't already got him a foul. I know if an American guarding me, Americans don't want to get in foul trouble because they're trying to stay in the game. Boom, get that first one on him. Bah. Now I get to play free, comfortable. Now I come off. If it's an American big man, run into him one time, come off that screen. He ain't trying to get number two. That hedge going to be a little softer. Now I get to play free. And once I started to understand, you know, when to do stuff, when to use it, use people's aggressiveness against them. You know that Europeans is going to foul always. They don't care about their fouls. They always going to foul. We in a bonus, everything, use that. That's easy free throw. And once I started to understand everybody's mindset, I use that against them in the game, man. And you just start to know players' tendencies. Like, you'll watch the film, you'll see somebody get that first foul, second foul, you know, oh yeah, I can go where I want.
Yo, did y'all like y'all rookie year overseas? Did y'all used to get mad when y'all used to have to take them fast break fouls?
Oh,
wasn't it the hardest thing to do?
We over there faking it, like, my bad, I missed.
Man, try not to even put yourself in position. You know, you go for the offensive rebound or something just so you ain't in that spot. Because you like, man, you get them 2 fouls, and then at the end of the game, they're looking at you like you ain't played good. I was in foul trouble the whole time doing those take fouls. I was so glad when intentional foul rule was changed and you couldn't just do them fouls. I was like, yes, now you got an excuse not to make the foul. It would have been intentional, coach. Like,
and I used to make, because, you know, coming from college, they teaching you to guard without fouling too, right? So you go over there and you got to do it. It backfired on me rookie year in the playoffs. I didn't do it, and I ran alongside dude Cinciarini, dude from that play him, or he's not in Milan now, but
he's in he's in they in the FIBA Eurocup. They're playing against Bakasher in the final. Reggie, he's in Reggie.
Okay,
Reggie
he's in Reggio. Okay. Yeah. Man, he was a Reggio when we played him. So I'm running alongside dude. Didn't take the take foul. I'm like, I'm gonna run along. I'm gonna just jump with him because he's not athletic. So I jump with him, and you know they teach them to do this clear out. I jump with him. Dude takes out my broken nose, man. I was like, damn, I should have fouled this dude, man. I should have fouled this dude. It was karma. I should have listened. But nah, that shit used to make me absolutely sick.
And the foul is a good play, right? It's a good play. But if it's your main player and that foul puts him in foul trouble, it's stupid play. Because now you just took away 2 points and you got to sit your best player out for 7, 8, 10 minutes. And that's, to me, that's worth more than 2 points. But to take foul for somebody who's not the main player or for somebody who's not in foul trouble, it's a smart play.
And to your point, how long did it take away them 2 points? Because as soon as you take that take foul, maybe it gets you the third foul. Now, dude like yourself, you looking at, all right, they had 3 fouls. I'm going to attack them. I'm going to get this 4th foul. Now we in the bonus with 5 minutes left
Man.
in the quarter, like 6 minutes left in the quarter. It's a wrap.
And
It's a
then
wrap.
and you know when you playing in a high level, and they gonna start doing stuff that they don't even do. Like guys who don't even score, now they trying to attack you because they know you got the foul. Guys who don't post up trying to post, you like, oh God. Guys going to the offensive rebound hard, hoping you do a foul.
Cats is padding their stats at this point.
Nah, yeah, true.
But nah, man. So last couple things, man. Dame came out with a tweet. This is my question. I asked you beforehand how long you got left. Dame came out with a tweet talking about he's jealous to see CJ playing in New Orleans. So I want to know, you and CJ played together in high school. What do you ever think about, playing as long as you can and maybe CJ leave the league or something like that and come play somewhere in Europe or somewhere overseas with you?
It used to be a goal of us to play like 1 year together. And we thought about it a couple of times. Maybe it was an opportunity in Portland during that COVID year. But I decided not to. Like I wanted, I like roles, right? And I wanted to extend my career as long as possible. And, ain't too many minutes behind Dame and CJ. I mean, they playing like 38 a night and they both elite level players. So like, there ain't too much time there, but that would have been something truly special. Like I watched like the Cooper brothers or the twins, the Martin twins, the Morris twins, and just to see like even to share the same court with them, that's so dope. And some of them were fortunate enough to be teammates. Like that would be like a dream come true. But I just don't know if it would be possible just because I'm 34. I'll only keep playing as long as I can stay at a high level. I'm not one of those guys who just gonna steal money. My kid can't ever see me sorry. I got a son, so I gotta always be good. If I'm not good, he ain't gonna see that. Like, cause how he gonna listen to me when I try to teach him anything about sports? And he's like, man, you was weak, Dad. Like, so as long as I'm good, I'll keep playing. But my goal is to play like another 3 to 4 more years. I always wanted to play 15 years. This is my 12th year. So if I, go by that, it's gonna be hard to play because my brother has 2 years left on his contract and he'll be up for an extension, based on how New Orleans is playing, making the playoffs, his impact he made. I'd be surprised if there wasn't, some talks or discussion there. And by the time he done with his extension, whatever, I mean, it's going to be time for me to hang it up. I mean, I think I still could kill boys, but at that point, I think it's a mental fatigue, just being away. You don't even feel American, after being gone so long, being in these countries. You miss little things like spending time with your grandmother, your parents. You always got your wife and kid with you, but like your cousins, like events, family stuff, like it's a big sacrifice. I don't regret it. I'm thankful, for all the blessings I receive. I'm thankful for what this game has given me, but I sacrificed a lot for it, and there's gonna come a time where I no longer want to sacrifice. It's not now, but I'll know when it comes, and I'll walk away. Like I won't be one of those vets just hanging on. Like you won't see if I can't impact the game and dominate a game, it's time for me to stop playing.
Sure, you gotta CJ go get a ring in New Orleans. You're gonna have a permanent roster spot just like the Nasus over there, man. You're gonna have a permanent 5 to 10 minutes for you until he does, man.
Be out there waving that towel out there dancing.
Nah, you got as soon as you get on the floor, run hard as hell, just like the Nasus. Just be out there moving fast as shit.
Pressing full court. Reason. They're gonna be like, he didn't even do that in Europe. He out there pressing full court.
Man, picking up, smacking the ground and all that. I meant to ask too. I forgot. Yo, who's the based on the Gil question? Who's the best scorers in Europe? Who's the best scorers in Europe? Scorers, not necessarily who averaged the most points, but I know you know what I mean. But for those that don't know what we mean, the best scorers to you.
So currently,
you give us current and past. You give us 3 of each.
Okay. So currently, I would say Mike James. I would say Shane Larkin. And I'm gonna say me, like, because I feel like we can score mid-range 3-pointers, get to the rim, floaters, get to the free throw line, draw fouls. score in a half court, score in transition. There's a lot of guys who can score, but they can't score in multiple ways. Like some guys are 3-point dependent. Very few players can score 20 points and hit 0 threes. Some guys are free throw dependent. Some guys can't score 20 without free throws. Like that's when I see a good player, like when he can score 0 threes, have 20 and efficiently, or he can have an off night from a game and still impact it, or he doesn't get to the line a lot, but he still scored a lot. Like, when you have that balance of being able to dominate a game, I say that. I think historically, you got to go Keith Langford. He was a professional scorer, man. Did it for so many years. Still doing it, I believe. And then, and people don't know because he played in China, but Marshawn Brooks, incredible scorer, bro. Like off the dribble, off the bounce, trade ball. I always talk junk to him because that's my boy. I never really hype him up too much, but man, like he's an elite player. Like he's a guy that's NBA talent. He's played in the league, done that. He just makes so much money in China, like, and he's happy there. Why leave? But he was good in Europe too when he was in Milan. But say him, those two, and then Mike Beasley. I don't know if he's playing now, but like when he was in China, boy, he was hell. 6'8", dribble, shoot, post, point forward, trade ball. Like, Mike Beasley, he's probably the best player I ever played against overseas outside of Luka Doncic. Those two different.
Yeah, I can't let you slide with Beasley because you got to pick a different one.
We know about that.
You already know about Beasley. All right. Let's see.
You got to pick a different one.
Who was another guy that was tough to guard? Historically older. Let me think. I'm trying to think of somebody who like people won't really remember. It's tough. I guess you gotta. I don't want to say Luka because everybody know Luka too. Like he was a bucket.
We'll let you slide. Man. We ain't gonna put too much pressure on you. We ain't gonna put too much pressure on you. But I think, I think you hit it right on the head. I would say, like we said, Dwayne Bacon. I might slide him in there over Shane just because of the size,
versatile.
And the versatility. That's the only thing.
Yeah. You could even slide him over me, bro. I wouldn't take no facts. He a good player.
Nah.
No qualms this way.
Mr. 82, you locked in. You locked in there.
Casual 82. Casual.
That's what it is right there, man. But before we set you off, man, we got to know, when is the earliest you've ever packed your bags to go home from overseas?
Woo. So for me, boy, I remember I was young too. This is bad, but I was young. I was 24. I think I was 24, and we had Olympiacos set up in the first round of playoff. We was the 8th seed. They was the first seed, and we had solidified playoffs. Maybe like a month or two before, like we knew, and then we kind of knew the matchup maybe like 4 weeks before. And it was a team in Greece. It was their first year in the first division. And so to put it into context, Apollon Patras was the team name. They came from the second league, first year up. At the beginning of the season, I told our coach, we're going to go to the playoffs. He was like, young kid, ambitious. This is the Greek league. And this is when the Greek league was like popping, you know what I'm saying? Like they had more money. They had a better financial structure. It still was like some issues, but it wasn't like, so much hurt economically. And we started the season off like 0-3, and like they had released a couple players and it was going bad, but we kind of turned it around. And once I seen that like we possibly was gonna play Olympiacos, I started packing my bag that night. Like I was like, oh, it probably was like 3 weeks before the playoffs started, and I was living out of like, I had like 5-6 things I was just wearing. I just wash it and wear it, and I was just so ready to get home. I was young, I was mentally drained, and we got smoked, and it was a best of 3. We got smoked at their place, like I knew. And then at our place, and this is how crazy the team. I had booked my flight. The team booked my flight for me. We played at 8:00 or 7:00 that day, and the team booked my flight for me. There was a 5 a.m. flight going to Athens, and mind you, it's a 2-hour drive. hour and a half train ride. And they was like, Errick, but we have a game. And I said, oh, y'all think we gonna win? And they was like, you're right. Let's book this flight. And so like, this is the team personnel front office. So they booked the flight. And mind you, I was going crazy. We was going into the fourth quarter and we was winning by 2. And I was like, oh shit, looks like we're gonna have to cancel this flight. And then and we played, but then we end up losing like a close game by like 6 points. And then they had a party that night after the game because they were just happy to make the playoffs. And I took my train ride, got my 5 or 6 a.m. flight, and was out that day. It was beautiful. I was in there smiling on the way home. We had just lost. I wanted to win, but hey, ain't nothing I can do about it now. I'm about to go see my family.
Hey, I'm sure them Europeans probably so cheap. They was probably happy too. They didn't have to cancel that flight and book a new one.
They would have been sick. They would have been sick.
They're taking that out your contract. Like, you asked us to book this. They made up a whole extra story.
Oh, extras.
But nah, man, we appreciate you coming on and joining us, man. That was fun. That was dope. Appreciate your stories, your insight, all that. For those listening, this podcast will be available on Eurohoops.net, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. And again, man, we just appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight and all your experiences with us.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me. It's fun. Always good to chat with y'all. For y'all listeners out there, get that McCollum Heritage wine. It's about to drop. My brother gonna have another release soon. It sells out quick. Be ready. Gonna have to get you gentlemen a bottle. Get y'all rosé or your red wine, guys. What y'all like?
Oh, I do
red
both.
wine for me.
Everything.
Yeah. Oh, everything. I'm a red wine guy myself.
Yeah, oh man. Hey, I remember when CJ's joint dropped last time, man. I tried to log on. That joint sold out so quick.
Man,
and I was trying to go buy a bottle. That joint was crazy. Yo, I tried Clay's wine too. Clay's wine is legit too.
Yeah.
I tried it.
He just bought a winery like over 300 acres. So like he basically building everything from the ground up, taking over, got the grapes, everything, and production is about to start. And I think he's going to increase production too. So maybe more people cannot miss out, because we had a lot of people hitting me up like, man, I couldn't get it. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. Like, the first time, you release a product, you don't want to make too much. You want to, test out the target, the demand. You want to see what's going on. And, he got a lot of good reviews. So.
Hey man, where can you get it at? Where can you get it at?
You got to order online, baby.
Order online. All right.
Yeah, order online.
All right.
I'll drop the link.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do that.
Yeah, I'll drop the link when it's supposed to come, man. But yeah, that Heritage 91, the McCollum wine, go ahead and get it, man.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you, dog. We'll holler at you next time. We definitely gonna have to have you back on too, because I know you got plenty more stories to share. So.
Oh man, too many.
That's love. Yeah, we appreciate y'all, and that's Jordan.
Ant signing out, role player, and we'll catch y'all.